Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today we are taking a short look at a figure that apparently has ruined a lot of people's lives for being a little diminutive in stature. We'll judge, how much I care about that once we get to the figure itself. But this is Blaine, Mainframe, Parker. Apparently he uses Tunnel Rat's legs, which the height is not the problem that I have with that. The appropriateness of the sculpt is really more what I would be looking at. As I've mentioned over and over and over again, but not everybody watches every video, so I get it. When I know I want something online, I just order it. I don't sit down and examine anything too closely. I don't make a checklist of the parts. I just say, hey, I know I want a Mainframe figure, and I hit the order button, because part of the fun of reviews for me is the discovery of this process that you're watching right now. And if I just know everything about the figure, like that it's got some holster just banging around inside, that's less fun for me. That makes opening it up here less fun for me. So no, I do not make a parts list. I do not look at the listing and memorize everything about the figure, because I want to do that now. I want to look at it now. So to once again state that for the record, got what looks like it might be a newer, more slender hose here, which I appreciate. Now I'm going to have to pull that tape up. Remember the days when there was no tape in classified packaging? I miss those days. Oh, wow, I can't even get that out from under there. So the classified series has been banging along, tons of releases right here at the end of the year. And I'm very happy about this one because it gets us one figure closer. Whoa, where did that go? Oh boy. There it is. It went right to the edge of the back of the workbench. And I really do need to put some chicken wire or something back there, because as big and heavy as this workbench is, if something flies behind it, it's gone forever. So I really do need to figure out a way to block that off or something. All right, looks like we got everything. And without comparing him to anybody else, the figure looks completely fine to me. I'm not as sensitive to heights, just because maybe this version of Mainframe is shorter. Maybe, I don't know. That's not a huge deal to me. Maybe ever since Hugh Jackman got cast as Wolverine, I've had to let go of any attachment to the idea of how tall a character should be. If it's not Big Lob, yes, of course, needs to be tall. That is inherent to his character. But Mainframe, there's no lore about his height as far as I'm concerned. And if you want to look up pictures of him and stuff, come on. I don't mind the look. It doesn't, this is not what his original figure had, but that's not always the be-all, end-all of classified design. I certainly do appreciate updates when they happen. You can see where that holster goes right up here. I don't think this looks fine as far as just using the Tunnel Rat pants. It doesn't bother me that we've got a difference in the design here. Your mileage may vary. All right, let's see if we can get that holster on. Let's do a little zoom in so we can start taking a look at some of these details. So we've got the old rubber peg that is potentially going to be a pain to get in place there. Might be easier if I put the pistol in there first. So there is our holster that I'm trying to get fixed in place. And we've got a hand blaster that I'm sure we've seen before, but I do like. It looks cool, and it's got a port for blast effects in the front. This actually... We've probably seen this before, but it maybe isn't one that's been used a ton. I like that design, though. It feels different from a lot of the many reuse parts we've seen lately. All right, so that'll give that a little something to hold against while I try and plug it into the harness there. And it's either going to go in or it's not. I'm not going to spend any more time. Oh, yep, I think I got it. All right, cool. So that's there. Not bad placement, really. I was going to say it's a little far over this way, but honestly, that's not too bad. It makes more sense than if it were pushed out further. And this rig he's wearing is really nicely engineered because you've got everything is connected, so it all kinds of holds itself into place, which I appreciate because, as you may know, one of my typical complaints about Classified is how loose all this stuff is and how it just moves around all over the figure. But with everything connected from the thigh part to the belt to the chest part, it keeps it in place relatively well. So that's cool. I like that design. He's got this gadget on his wrist with some binary on it. I like the little handle there. Or no, actually, that's not a handle. That looks more like a data card or something. I don't know what that is, but it's cool. I like the detail and design of that. Kind of retro style. But you have to take that approach with a character like this because the whole thing was, back in 1986, we've got this guy where it's like, wow, he's got a portable computer. That's amazing. Look, it's got disk drives on it and a keyboard, and there's the little screen. Oh, and he's got a backpack that he probably needs just for the extra computing power and energy or whatever that is. Maybe there's a modem in there or something. Satellite modem. I don't know. And all this stuff seemed really impressive and techy. But realistically now, all Mainframe would have is like a cell phone. So we have to get a little ridiculous with what we've got going on here. And we've got these cool little bits and pieces like that original figure had. Just, unnamed tech that looks cool. It's toyetic. It's a good figure design. He's got these, I like the fingerless gloves. That actually makes a lot of sense. That's an upgrade to me because if he's working with all of these little buttons and pieces and, wires or whatever, having full gloves on is going to be a problem. So I do like the move to fingerless gloves. I think that's cool. I don't mind. Sometimes I like it when the uniforms maintain the same colors, but here I don't mind that he's got darker trousers on. Like, I think it creates a nice look for him. Oh, so let's do a little height comparison. I mean, he is pretty darn short, but it doesn't matter to me. To me. It may bother you. It doesn't matter to me because I never had Mainframe as any particular height in my head. Sure, we've got comparisons of him with other characters in Sunbow or whatever, but it just doesn't play into any aspect of his character to me. I'm not worried about it. The main thing for me was if the difference in his boot trouser sculpt was going to bother me, and it really doesn't. All right. Plastic feels good. Joints feel good. Like, this is, again, we're in a good spot with Joe right now. I like the tampo of that shoulder insignia there. Looks pretty cool. And I love that, in Classified, you can actually put it on the side of the shoulder like that. More just little cool sculpted detail in here. I really like him. So he does have an actual laptop that is just, it doesn't snap closed, but it seems like the hinge is pretty good. And we've got a keyboard, and then we've got a display screen with techie looking stuff in the same vein as what we've seen in like the Dragonfly and the Hiss and whatever else. What does that say? Hack? Shortcuts notes. So nice looking screen. I like this little extra detail off to the side over here. Looks cool. I dig it. On the outside, got kind of a heavy duty look to it. Reinforced look. The backpack, very similar, but look at this. I love this little readout, or these two readouts that we've got on the backpack here, which again, I'm going with this is like a power supply. Ooh, and look, our laptop plugs into, in theory, that's a snug fit. There we go. So the laptop plugs into that backpack, which is awesome. And then we've got, zoom back out so we can actually see what we're doing here. We've got this piece, which again, just another gizmo, but look at this. It's got a little display screen on it. Very nice. And that is the classified version of our little handheld doodad here. I'm so glad they did a thinner tube for this one, because that Techno Viper tube wouldn't have gotten it. Although this one, kind of struggling getting it into the socket there. Oh, this might have, so I think this end is actually a little thinner because it just plugged right in there, although it is in securely, but it plugged right in. Yeah, okay. So I do believe one end of this tube is a little smaller than the other end. And the small end goes into the backpack. So here's our little handheld control box or whatever. And then we've got this piece, which also has a little display on it. I'm very impressed with the tampos on these little gadgets. I think that's very cool. That is some extra effort right there. So is this maybe gonna plug? Or, oh no, wait, or does this plug into there? Oh yeah, it sure does. Look at this. So that little control device plugs in right there. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And of course it does, because of course you don't necessarily want the figure holding that all the time, so you need somewhere to store it. And then this piece will go in this holster right here. And I love how the display is still exposed when it's stored. It's a nice touch. He's got a knife that I'm sure we've seen before, and that's okay because I just don't need that many different varieties of knives until you get into somebody like a hunter or, you know, jungle specialist or something where we need machetes, or a mercenary that needs some kind of wicked blade. But if it's just a standard issue knife, they can use the same mold a lot and it won't bother me. So one cool, let's see if this fits. Ooh. Oh, look at this too, this detail. How the padding on the inside, that's, the fact that that's a color is wild. Like, that's a really nice attention to detail there. Oh, and this is welded to his back. So that's another thing that's keeping this in place. Very interesting. but I am having a little trouble getting that peg in. That kind of fault me a little bit. I'm a little concerned about it. Yeah. So the peg hole back here seems very shallow. And the peg seems a little too big for the hole. Might have it in there. All right, it's in there well enough. We've got an alternate portrait with the baseball cap. I really like this logo that's on the front of it, although it is a little, almost a little communist looking, maybe. I don't know. But I do like it. I mean, I like the fact that they did this tampo and this red patch on the front of this. So I like this, but I am sticking with the classic Mainframe look. We didn't even really talk about his portrait. I like it. He looks almost a little dissatisfied, like he's tired of the Joes asking him to update their cell phones or whatever. But good portrait, good haircut. I dig it. And I will be using the classic Mainframe helmet because that's just my preference there. I think he looks great. I wouldn't be mad if he was taller, but it doesn't bother me that he's short at all. And look, he's, as I said, we're now one step closer to Special Mission Brazil. So he is one of the characters I was most excited about in the line. But his height was not something that I really had any investment in whatsoever. So I think this is a great figure. I can't wait for hopefully Special Mission Brazil repaints of all of these characters. I'll be talking about Wetsuit soon. He's sitting right on the shelf next to me. But for now, Mainframe, I dig him. I think they did a great job. It would have been okay if they had had other tooling to use for those legs. Not even necessarily for him to be taller, but just to have the boots look more traditional. But again, I'm okay with this look. Works for me. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. And until next time, yo, Joe.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.